Hey, welcome to another episode of 5 Minutes Book Summary. This one is definitely going to be over 5 minutes. We're going to go in depth into it.
Yeah, strap in for this one.
Today, we're plunging into Simon Sinek's Start With Why. Think of us as your informed companions on this journey through a really influential piece of work.
Absolutely. It's one of those books that really shifted perspective for a lot of people.
Our goal, to basically extract the most vital and actionable ideas so you can quickly understand how truly effective leaders inspire action.
And the book really dives into, why certain organizations and individuals just nail it. They get incredible success, deep loyalty.
While others just kind of fizzle out or just muddle through. Right.
Exactly. And what's compelling right from the start is Sinek's core idea, this thing he calls the golden circle.
Right. The why, how, and what.
Yes. And crucially, the absolute priority of beginning with why. That's the linchpin.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a classic example he uses.
Yeah.
The race to build the first airplane. You had the Wright brothers and Samuel Langley.
Oh, yeah, this is a great illustration. Langley looked like the sure bet.
Totally. He had serious funding, like government backing. He recruited the best minds, used the finest materials.
The press loved him. He was the guy everyone expected to succeed.
By all accounts, yeah. It seemed inevitable.
But his approach, if you look closely, it really highlights a focus on the what, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, the tangible stuff, better resources, more expertise, the physical machine itself. But what was the real driver? The belief behind it all? Maybe less clear.
Exactly. Now, compare that to the Wright brothers, working with, like, pocket change compared to Langley.
In a bicycle shop, basically unknown.
Right. But their fundamental motivation, their why, was this deep, almost obsessive passion for human flight itself.
That core belief, that why, it just energized their small team.
And even with fewer resources, constant setbacks, they were the ones who ultimately cracked it.
So that's the first big takeaway, isn't it? Inspiration stemming from a really clear why can actually outperform massive material advantages.
It's powerful stuff. The Wright brothers' story really drives that home.
And this isn't just, a dusty historical anecdote.
No way. Look at Apple Computer. Or, well, it's just Apple now.
Right. They consistently punch above their weight in terms of loyalty and, let's face it, influence, even when their market share isn't the biggest.
So what's their secret sauce? What's driving that?
Well, Sinek argues it's their crystal clear why, to challenge the status quo, to empower the individual.
It's not just marketing fluff, is it? It feels baked in.
Exactly. It's woven into their brand, their product design, everything.
Think about the early days of MP3 players. Remember creative technology?
Vaguely. They had a player, right?
Yeah, and they marketed it as a 5 GB MP3 player.
Yeah.
Pure, what, all specs.
Okay, yeah. Very feature-focused.
Then Apple comes along with the iPod, their message, 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Boom! Instantly connects to the benefit, the feeling, the reason why you'd want it.
Totally different approach. It's selling the outcome, the why of it all.
And this really highlights Sinek's point. Apple defined itself by its purpose, its why, not just by what it made.
Which makes sense why they dropped the computer from their name, right? Became Apple Inc.
Precisely. It reflects that broader mission. They weren't just a computer company anymore.
And that's the absolute core message. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Which leads directly into this idea of manipulation versus inspiration. How do you actually influence behavior?
Right. Sinek lays out these two paths. Manipulation. That sounds a bit harsh.
Well, maybe, but he uses it to describe common tactics. Dropping prices, running promotions, using fear.
Aspirations too, right? Like, be like this celebrity.
Exactly. Peer pressure, even just novelty, the shiny new thing. Think car dealership cashback offers.
Or those mail-in rebates where they kind of bank on some people not bothering to send them in, that slippage thing.
Yeah, exactly. These tactics can work. They can drive a sale, boost quarterly numbers.
But do they build real loyalty? That lasting connection?
That's the question. Sinek argues no. Fear-based ads grab attention, sure. Celebrity endorsements might sway a purchase.
Gatorade's Be Like Mike campaign comes to mind. Iconic.
Hugely successful campaign. But was it building deep belief in Gatorade's why, or was it aspirational association?
Good point. And novelty wears off, doesn't it?
It always does. So these manipulative strategies, they're fundamentally transactional.
You get the sale, but maybe not the relationship. Could even make people a bit wary over time.
Right. Now, inspiration, That's different. It works on another level entirely.
Oh, so.
It connects with people's values, their own beliefs. When someone's inspired, they want to act. It's intrinsic.
So it's not about being pushed, it's about being pulled towards something you believe in.
Precisely. That's what fosters real loyalty. He uses Southwest Airlines as an example. After 9/11, when air travel plummeted,
Their customers were incredibly supportive, weren't they?
hugely, not because of some special deal, but because they felt a connection to the airline's values, its whole approach. They believed in Southwest.
Which brings us right back to that golden circle again. What, how, why?
Yep. So Sinek says every single company knows what they do. Sell widgets, provide services, whatever.
Okay, that's the easy part.
Then some companies know how they do it, their unique process, their differentiating factor, their USP,
Their secret sauce, maybe?
kind of. But here's the kicker. Very, very few organizations can clearly articulate why they do what they do.
The purpose, the
Yep.
cause, the underlying belief.
Exactly. That fundamental reason for existing beyond just making money. And the inspiring ones. They communicate inside out.
Yeah.
They start with why, then they talk about how, and only then do they get to the what.
So instead of, we make great computers, they're user-friendly,
Yeah.
want to buy one?
Right. That's how it what. Apple's approach, Sinek argues, is more like, everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. Why?
Okay.
The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly.
Got it.
We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Whatever. See the difference?
Yeah, it feels completely different. It draws you in on a belief level first.
And that reinforces the main idea. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. They connect with that purpose.
It taps into something really fundamental, doesn't it? That human need to belong.
Absolutely. Sinek uses Dr. Seuss, believe it or not, to illustrate this. The snitches.
Ah, the sneetches. With the stars on their bellies or not.
Right. They were desperate to fit in, paying Sylvester McMonkey McBean fortunes to get stars added or removed.
Just to feel like they belong to the right group. It's a perfect, simple illustration of that drive.
It really is. And when a company clearly communicates its trust, why its customers feel like they're part of something bigger, a tribe that gets them.
It goes way beyond just buying a product. You see it with Harley-Davidson owners, right? Getting tattoos of the logo.
Or the incredible loyalty Apple users often show. It becomes part of their identity because the company's why resonates with their own.
And Sinek connects this to our brain biology, which is fascinating.
Yeah, the limbic brain, the part that handles feelings, trust, decision-making, it doesn't have capacity for language.
So that's why we get those gut feelings, decisions that just feel right, even if we can't immediately explain why.
Exactly. We struggle to put words to those deep-seated feelings that drive our choices.
So we end up rationalizing after the fact, trying to explain our gut decision with logical reasons.
Very often, yes. And this also explains why manipulation can work sometimes, especially if a company's why is fuzzy or absent.
Because we're left deciding based on what it features, price, things the language part of our brain can process easily.
Precisely. We default to the tangible when the intangible feeling of why isn't there to guide us.
Okay, so for this golden circle thing to actually work,
Yeah.
for starting with why to be effective, it can't just be talk, right?
Absolutely not. Sinek hammers home the need for clarity, discipline, and consistency.
Meaning your why, your how, and your what all have to line up. They have to be in sync.
Totally. If what you say, your why, doesn't match what you do, your how and what, people see right through it. Authenticity vanishes.
And trust goes out the window.
Exactly. And when trust erodes, what are you left with? You're forced back towards manipulation to get people to act.
Southwest, again, feels like a good example of consistency, doesn't it?
Textbook. Their why making air travel accessible. Their how low cost, efficient operations, fun culture. Their flying people places. It all aligns.
There's that story about the senior exec from another airline being stunned by their directness, right?
Yeah, Howard Putnam tells that story. The exec couldn't believe Southwest was so open about their focus, their strategy. It stemmed from that unwavering clarity of purpose.
And when you have that alignment and consistency,
Yeah.
trust emerges. It's a natural outcome.
It is. People believe in your why, and that builds an incredibly strong bond. Think about Herb Kelleher, the founder of Southwest.
His philosophy was famous. Employees first, customers second, shareholders third. Seems counterintuitive to some.
Maybe. But it built incredible internal loyalty and trust, which then translated into amazing customer service and loyalty. It all started with trusting and empowering their people.
Gordon Bethune did something similar, turning Continental Airlines around, didn't he? Focusing on the employees first.
Yeah, he tied bonuses directly to on-time performance for all employees, had an open-door policy. He knew happy, motivated employees would lead to better results and happier customers. Trust was key.
It even applies to recruiting, like Shackleton's famous ad for his Antarctic expedition.
Oh, that's a classic. Basically said, dangerous journey, low wages, bitter cold, doubtful safe return.
Sounds appealing.
Right. But it attracted only people who believed in the challenge, whose personal why aligned with that incredibly difficult mission. He got the right people, the believers.
So hiring for belief, for alignment with the why, is just as critical as hiring for skills.
Absolutely vital for building a strong, cohesive organization. Contrast that with, say, Barings Bank.
The bank that collapsed spectacularly.
Yeah. You could argue they lost their sense of purpose, their why got fuzzy, and that created a culture where risky behavior could flourish unchecked, ultimately leading to disaster. The trust wasn't rooted in shared values anymore.
Okay, so you start with why, you build trust. But how does that idea spread? How do you get mass adoption?
Sinek brings in the law of diffusion of innovations. You've probably seen that bell curve chart.
Yeah, with different groups. Innovators, early adopters.
Early majority, late majority, and laggards at the end. Innovators are the first tiny group, super adventurous. Early adopters are next, still visionary, but maybe a bit more practical.
And those early adopters are key.
Crucial. Sinek says you need to capture about 15 to 18% of the market, the innovators and early adopters, to cross the chasm and reach the tipping point for mass market success.
And crucially, those early adopters, they're not buying the newest gadget just because it's new.
No, they're buying it because they believe in the why behind it. They want to be first because it aligns with their own worldview. They're making a gut decision based on belief.
Which explains TiVo's initial struggle.
Possibly, yeah. Great tech, revolutionary what, but they marketed the features heavily. Pause live TV.
They didn't connect with the why first. Didn't inspire those crucial early believers.
Sint argues they didn't. Their own explanation was telling. Until people get their hands on it, they don't understand why they need this. They were trying to sell the what's and hoping people would figure out the why later.
Backwards, according to this model.
Exactly. Compare that to Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Movement.
A hugely powerful example of starting with why.
Absolutely. His Why I Have a Dream, the belief in equality was incredibly clear and deeply felt.
And that's what drew hundreds of thousands to the March on Washington.
Yes, they weren't showing up for Martin Luther King Jr. necessarily. They were showing up for themselves, for their belief in a better America, a vision that he articulated so powerfully. His why resonated with their why.
That makes sense. It's about shared belief. Sinek also talks about different types of people needed in an organization.
Right, the why types and the how types.
Visionaries versus implementers.
Basically, yeah. The why types are the dreamers, the ones with the vision, the gut feeling. The how types are the builders, the doers, the ones who figure out how to make the vision a reality.
And you absolutely need both, don't you?
You do. A why type without a how type might just have ideas. A how type without a why type might build something efficient, but without purpose.
Sinek suggests most successful entrepreneurs are actually how types, people who love building things.
Often, yes. But the truly world-changing organizations usually have a Y-type leader setting the vision, the cause, paired with strong how types building the infrastructure to support it.
But what happens when organizations get bigger? Does that why stay clear?
That's where the danger lies. Sinek talks about the split. As companies grow, the clarity of the original why can get diluted.
How does that happen?
Well, early on, decisions often come from the gut, driven by that founding why. But as scale increases, there's pressure to rely more on data, metrics, rational analysis, the what and how.
And the why gets lost in the spreadsheets.
It can, yeah. The connection to the original feeling fades. He points to companies like AOL as maybe going through that kind of split, losing touch with their initial inspiring purpose.
So it's vital to keep measuring the why, not just the what.
Absolutely. It's harder, but crucial. He mentions Christina Harberge's debt collection company, an unlikely place for inspiration, maybe.
Debt collection, okay.
But their why was about treating people with respect, listening, finding solutions with empathy. And guess what? Their collection rates were like 300% higher than average.
Wow. Because they focused on the human element, the why, not just the numbers.
Seems like it. Or Dwayne Honor's construction company actively measuring work-life balance to prove they lived their values. You have to measure what matters.
And the leader plays a huge role in keeping that why alive, right? They're the symbol.
Totally. The leader is the physical embodiment of the why. Think Bill Gates at early Microsoft, Steve Jobs at Apple, Sam Walton at Walmart.
Their presence was a constant reminder of what the company stood for.
Exactly, and Sinek points out what often happens when those iconic leaders leave and the why isn't deeply embedded in the culture.
Things can drift, like Apple after Jobs first left,
Yeah.
or Walmart after Sam Walton passed.
Arguably, yeah. There's a risk the organization defaults back to focusing only on the what and how, losing that inspirational edge.
Contrast that with Costco, maybe. Jim Sinegal was very focused on employees and value, wasn't he?
Very much so. That focus built incredible loyalty, mostly through word of mouth, driven by that consistent adherence to their core principles, their why.
So if your why gets fuzzy, or maybe you never quite defined it, where do you find it?
Sinek suggests looking back. He talks about his own experience, feeling disillusioned with his consulting business when it became all about the what positioning strategy.
He lost his own why.
He felt he had. He realized he needed to reconnect with the origin, the initial passion. He uses this analogy of a race.
How does that work?
The idea is the real competition isn't against other companies, it's against yourself. Are you staying true to your original purpose? Are you better this year than last year at living your why?
So it's about continuous improvement aligned with your core belief.
Exactly. And the truly great, inspiring organizations manage to maintain that clarity of why, that connection to their origins year after year after year.
Okay, so bringing this all together, start with why, isn't just like a catchy business slogan.
Not at all. It's presented as a fundamental principle for how to inspire people, build loyalty, achieve lasting success, whether you're running a company, leading a movement, or even just figuring out your own path.
It's about tapping into something much deeper than just features or benefits.
Definitely. And for you, the listener, really understanding and maybe applying these ideas, the golden circle, focusing on why first it can be a really powerful framework.
For your own work, or just life in general.
Both, potentially. It's about connecting with people, whether they're customers, colleagues, or anyone else, on that level of shared belief and purpose. It can lead to much more meaningful results.
That makes a lot of sense. So, as a final thought to leave people with, maybe consider the why behind the sources we even used for this deep dive.
Ooh, interesting. What was Simon Sinek's driving purpose in writing this book? What beliefs fueled its creation?
And how does that do it? Why resonate with your own beliefs, your own motivations, something to chew on.
Definitely. It encourages you to keep digging, keep exploring these ideas and see how they fit or don't fit in your own world.